set designers and everybody tell me it's impossible, you can't do it. But I can only tell you that once I committed and started doing it, I had Academy Award winners, I had Emmy Award winners, I had some of the top industry professionals who love Battlestar come on board to help me. And we pulled it together. And it took a year and a half, and we finally got it together after a lot of craziness, a lot of stuff, a lot of ups and downs. But I got to tell you, the process of doing it, the joy, the fulfillment of spending every day doing what you love, it didn't even matter what the ultimate result was. Because I have to tell you that no matter what the Sci-Fi Channel or Universal ultimately did, the joy of having done it and then traveled the world for the past 5 years, playing the trailer, you know, and seeing how many people were pleased and happy to see that and were uplifted by it, it was worth every single dime that I spent. Plus, I got a college education in filmmaking. It developed the confidence for me, and by the way, you can be the most talented person in the whole world, but if you don't believe in yourself, all that talent goes nowhere. And so this Battlestar gave me the confidence that I could do it, that if I just took one little step at a time, little things grow into big things. And so 2.5 years ago, I started working on Magellan, and we've been working on this for the last 4 years, building the backstory, the mythology, the history of Magellan, developing all the things about it, the concepts, the designs. We're still building. I mean, 2/3 of everything we're building is not completed yet. Of course, I'm doing this again on my own credit card, and I could have gone and sold the concept, but I decided I wanted to create more so that I could actually leverage myself and make a much better deal, because as you know in this business, people take ideas and they destroy them. They change them, they rip them out, they do their own thing, and my thought was, I'm not building this to throw it away. I said, I want to build a team, raise the funding to do the kind of state-of-the-art science fiction, fantasy that we all love. I want to bring together the best sci-fi fantasy writers in the universe to write stories. I want to get the best actors to come play some of the most incredible characters that have ever been created. I want to get the best DP and filmmakers to work, directors, to really create a state-of-the-art series that will visually, emotionally, on every single level, touch you, move you, shake you up, blow you away, expand your mind. I mean, that's what great science fiction does. Great science fiction expands your mind, but it also expands your heart. I think great science fiction always opens your heart. So that's what we've been working on the past 2.5 years. And the Battlestar thing, as far as I know, at this point in time, this is where it stands. I talked to Tom Santo, and I know that they're talking about a number of things. And I know Tom is still dedicated to doing a theatrical film with Battlestar. And he's gone out to do the Transformers and X-Men 3. But his heart is really with Battlestar. And I think if, depending on what happens a couple years from now, if he gets to the position that it looks like he's going to get to, he'll have the leverage and the power to put together a Battlestar movie. And the other thing is, you know, I've heard some kind of, there's nothing definite, there's no word on this, but a possible animated series of the original that would continue the original. That's a possibility as well right now. So there's a number of Battlestar things that are still in the offering that could happen. I think the new series has got some interesting ideas. I think they have some wonderful actors, and they have some great writers. The only problem, like I say, I just wish it wasn't called Battlestar. I think it's a totally different show. I honestly do. They invited me to do a cameo. I think Dirk to do a cameo. We both turned it down. And then about 3 months after the Battlestar 25th anniversary convention, I invited Ron Moore to come because I thought, you know, I'm not going to sit here and take sides. I'm going to invite everybody from 1980, from Battlestar, Ron Moore to talk to the fans, let them present their argument, let them talk. It's up to the fans to make the decision, not me. And so I invited him. We had a great conversation. I thought he was actually a very nice man, very down to earth, very intelligent, and we had a great conversation. And he told me, he said, look, I don't know what's going to happen with the miniseries, but whatever happens, he says, if it goes to series, he said, let me. Okay. Anyway, so he told me, he said to me, if you're interested, if we do pick it up, he said, if I created something on the show for you to do that would be worthwhile for you, would you consider it? And I said, you know, I said, for me, I'm an actor. If there's a wonderful role for me to play, and I feel that I can be of value and it can create a win-win situation, I said I'd be in it. We didn't just even talk about money. I said, every actor dies and loves and lives to play a wonderful role. And so, about 3 months later, he called me up and he said, look, I think I have something for you. He said, come over here, let's have a conversation. We had a lovely talk. We discussed this role. And I don't know if he's psychic or what, but all my life, and maybe every artist can relate to this, but artists are rebels. You know? They're revolutionaries. They're always rebelling against the status quo. You tell them they can't do it, they always say there's a way to do it. And so he said, would you be interested in playing a Nelson Mandela-style political prisoner who's a revolutionary and who challenges the fleet? I said, well, that sounds like me. I said, that sounds like a role I've been playing all my life. And so I got very excited because I love Nelson Mandela. I love any leader. I love Anwar Sadat. I mean, he got shot down because of his beliefs, because he was trying to unify, bring people together. And so they wrote the script, they sent it to me, and it was wonderful. It was a wonderfully written role. And so the hard part for me, and I told people this, my heart has always been with the original show. The hardest thing in the whole world was to see this reimagined version come and trying to replace the original, because in their minds it was like, this is Battlestar. And I fought, I went to war for the last 4 or 5 years. Every time I heard somebody was doing Battlestar, but it was always going to be this version or that version. It was always everything but what the fans seemed to want. Nobody seemed to want to do what the fans wanted. And my heart would go up, would go down. Every single time I thought, oh God, you know, and I put so much energy into it. And the problem was, when you love something that much that you don't own, it's terrible. It's like falling in love with somebody who's married to somebody else. What do you do with somebody who's taken? You know? It's heartbreaking. I had to start to separate myself a couple years ago emotionally a little bit, because I love the Battlestar story. I love the characters. I love that whole world. But I had to separate myself because I couldn't spend the rest of my life sitting there being angry, going to war against people, and spending all my energy doing that, leaving me nobody. And I said, you know, I've got to take all my energy and begin to create something, because I'm a creative person. I've got to put my energy into something I believe in. And I said, I'm tired of knocking on Universal's door to get their attention. You know, and what people have to come to at some point in time is maybe you face your worst fear, your most terrible fear, and that is really, most of this, to go after what you really want and create your own dream, your own story, your own universe. That's like starting from scratch. It's like starting over. And it's terrifying. And I realized that that was all that was left to me. I had to create something from my heart, from my soul, from my spirit, that for me had the energy of what I loved about Battlestar in a different universe, but where I could create extraordinary characters put into extraordinarily life-defying situations that, to me, creates great drama. Great situations that challenge the human soul is what brings out the great drama, the great humor, the great pathos. It's what really blows us away dramatically is when we see movies like that, especially when it's written well and acted well. So I began working on this new show, and it was very hard for me to do that. Once I started to get into my story that I love, I slowly was able to, it's like falling in love with somebody else when you've been in love with this woman for so long. Honestly, anybody ever loved two people? I mean, have you ever loved somebody and realized you had to move on in your life because it wasn't going to happen, at least at that time frame? It's very painful to take your feelings and shift them to someone else, and it takes a long time to find someone you can fall in love with, because your heart still belongs over here. And so for me, I struggled through that. I mean, I got tired of having stomach aches. And believe it or not, when you care about something and it's in somebody else's hands, it rips your heart out every time you hear they're going to do this or do that, because it's like they're doing it to you, even though I didn't create it in the beginning. So I struggled through all of that, and finally, when I got to this point, I finally said, you know, I'm going to stop fighting against things and start fighting for things. I'm going to fight for what I do believe in, instead of trying to invalidate or judge people. Who am I to judge Ron Moore or Bonnie Hammer or all those people that put together the show? Because, you know, in a sense, they're innocent. It's the people that network that made the decision to reimagine it. It's not Ron Moore, it's not David Icke, it's not those actors. They're doing the best job they can to do the best show that they can with the mandate they were given. So I realized that when I finally got to meet them and I went up to do the role, I met all the actors. I loved all the actors. The crew, all of them wanted autographs because they were all big Battlestar fans. I mean, almost every one of them loved the original show. And I felt very much at home. They treated me like a king. I never had such a great experience in my life. Edward Olmos was incredible. Mary McDonnell, that was just one of the most wonderful human beings I've ever met. Jamie Bamber, I did a lot of scenes with him. Everybody that I worked with, I just had an extraordinary experience with. But what I had to do in my own mind, and this was hard, I had to realize that this, for me, is a different show. You know, it should have been called something else. It should have been a spin-off of the Battlestar universe. But the truth is, at this point in time, Universal isn't doing the other show. Hopefully they'll do a theatrical feature, which is possible, of the animated series. But for now, this is what they're doing. And I realize that fighting against this is serving no one. Because making this go down, or getting angry and judging and being harsh and cruel to them, is unfair. And also, if this fails, it doesn't help Battlestar. I hate to say it, you know how they think? This is how they think. If Battlestar doesn't succeed, they don't go, well, we made a mistake, we should have done a continuation. You know what they're going to say? They're going to go, we were right all along, we shouldn't have done it because there's not enough Battlestar fans. That's what they would say. They wouldn't take responsibility for having not continued it like the vast majority of fans wanted to do. And again, it's not even about the new show. Like I say, I think they have some great writers, they're exploring some interesting ideas, they got some wonderful actors. The problem is, for me, it's just a totally different show. So I came on there and I didn't even feel, I came on to play Tom Zarek, this political terrorist, revolutionary who's challenging everybody. And I had a great time. And I've done 2 roles so far. I'm going to be doing a 3rd part coming up. And then if it gets picked up next season, there's a possibility of also continuing the role. It'll obviously depend, but they've established the character. And I just love the character because he's, again, he's really kind of a provocateur. He's challenging people to rethink and look at the situation, to wake up and realize there's a lot of people suffering in this, you know, ragtag fleet. So there we are with the history of what's going on now. Let me take a few questions, and then we're going to end with, I'm going to, what time is it now? How much more time do we have?
It's supposed to be done.
I thought it was an hour and a half. No, they changed the call to 30 to 4. No?
The 4 is when the next thing starts.
Oh, cool.
And I've got to tear down the stairwell.
Okay. They told me an hour and a half, so I didn't. Anyway, let me just bring up you guys, come on up, and we can take some questions from you guys. We've got about 10 minutes, I guess. So any questions about the show? Again, this is Christian, this is Drew. These are the producers and co-writers that are going to help put together the Magellan comic book. And you can go to greatwarofmagellan.com. You can link over from richardhatch.com. There's a 2-minute trailer on there. There's artwork, behind-the-scenes filming of Magellan, history of Magellan, and there'll be a lot more coming with Magellan. I just made a 3-book deal. I'm going to be writing Magellan novels, along with continuing to write the Battlestar novels. I'm writing number 7, by the way, which will be out next year. But the comic book will be out in the next couple of months. You'll see the artwork. You'll be hearing about it. And then I made a board game deal, a CD-ROM game. We're negotiating right now. And we put the business plan together to do either a movie or a series of Magellan. So you'll be hearing a lot more about this show as well. So let's take your questions. And I always say, and I've said it, God, I don't know how many years I've been coming here, but it's, if you have the courage to ask it, we will answer it. Okay? About anything. Yes.
Hey, Richard.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I've known Richard for a long time. And Richard, I gotta say, I've known you for, 10 years, 11 years ago, I took your acting class. And I was here for the first presentation of the Battlestar trailer. He came to my show in Pennsylvania, and it was huge. We had all those cast members. And I followed you for the past 5 years. We see each other in Atlanta every year. I am so happy that you have finally made peace with the new Battlestar and everything, because it shows why you're such a visionary and why you're so great. It's because you evolved and you came to peace with it. And I think that is the single greatest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you. I want to say really quick, I don't know how many of you say no a lot in your life or yes a lot in your life. I almost destroyed my career because I was so angry at the business. I got into this business not to be famous and make lots of money, but I got into it because I wanted to play really challenging roles, and I wanted to be in movies and projects that to me would feed and nourish the soul, you know? I like to be entertained, but I like to have something that has more depth and resonance to it, has something more to say. And I was so frustrated not having that I turned down everything. And it's like trying to find the perfect relationship. You know, if you never get out on the dance floor, you never meet anybody. And everything in life is 6 degrees of separation, or in our case, maybe 3. You know, the point is, you're always 3 steps away from what you want, but you've got to get out on the floor. You've got to get out and be visible in the world. And so I started learning to say yes in life instead of no. It's very easy to say no sometimes. That was my biggest lesson. More questions?
Richard has a question about the 4-minute trailer. He produced about the rights and
The problem with the 4-minute trailer is that we made it, we had to go pay SAG, Screen Actors Guild, for permission to make this without paying SAG actors. Nobody got paid. We had a lot of professionals on that shoot and production. And because we didn't pay SAG, we didn't pay the SAG minimum, we didn't do any of that stuff, we had to sign a letter and a contract that said that we could not do this for commercial purposes, we could not make money on it, we couldn't sell it, we couldn't do anything. And the problem in this world, as you know, is that the minute this gets out, people will reproduce it and will be selling God knows where, all over the place, and people will be marketing it, and the copyright, trademark rights would be violated, and Universal could go after us. So we had to tell people that at least right now, that we haven't found a way to be able to legally release it. We almost got there when they were going to do the DVD of Battlestar. The guy came over and said, hey, we put the Battlestar trailer on there. And I said, yes. I said, yes, but you've got to go talk to SAG, and then you're going to have to pay the SAG minimums and whatever is owed so that you can clear it. And they weren't willing to do that.
So we got to come up with 1.2 million to pay everybody.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it would come to, but the Universal was not willing to front the money to do that. You know, exactly. So that was the problem there. So hopefully we'll find a way in the future to do that. I mean, even in the future, I have about 20 minutes of film that I haven't even used for the shoot because we didn't have the time or the money to do all the CGI. And we wanted to upgrade things because, remember, this was done 6 years ago. Things have changed amazingly in the last 6 years. Before I take one more question, I wanted to let these guys say a few things about what they're doing.
Hi. Okay, Blam Comics is a new company. Richard's great. We're Magellan Comic first. We're going to be doing convention specials. First, we're going to be doing a preview book, which shows model sheets and the script and a journal of the creators, including Richard, of our journey towards making this a reality. It's going to be available only at conventions and online. And then we're going to be doing a convention special, which is a full-color, 48-page book. It's going to be available early next year in January, again at conventions, which is a story about the main character. 3p2c.com. Everything's on the postcard. We want everybody to come. We want you to sign up on our mailing list. We don't give the names out to anybody else. We're just going to give you information about what we're doing with Richard and the comic book. And that's about it. If there's any more questions, just feel free.
Great. Just one more question. I guess I can take one more question. Yes.
I was just curious. I'm still having problems with Battlestar since the fan.
Right, I understand.
But do you know when your episodes are airing? Because I love this one.
Okay. Episode 3, I'm in, and I just did episode 11, and then there may be one more episode. I'm going to find out from my agent tomorrow if I'm doing one last episode in the first 13, and then I don't know if it gets picked up, if I'll do more as that character. I have no idea. I know they've established the character, they set him up, and now they're expanding him. I don't know how they will use him, but it's kind of, from what I can see, it's kind of a really good character that will, I think, create problems for Dama and for the president and everybody else aboard the fleet. So it's kind of fun to be the bad boy, the provocateur for a change. I mean, you know, every actor knows Yeah.
If your character does go on, do you think that what happened to Magellan might happen to you, your character?
Beg your pardon?
What happened to Mandela might happen to your characters. Become president.
You know, it's funny. I always thought, you know, if I ever come back to Battlestar, I never wanted to be on the council, you know, because I always thought, that's where all the old guys go, you know. I want to be the Pfeiffer, you know, like, but you know, here I am ending up probably on the council. I don't know.
Is it me or one of the ships that I like in the trailer looked like the new style?
I hate to say it, but the Lee Stringer is the guy that did the artwork on that, and we did this 6 years ago. This was long before the new series. So he probably took the concept and used it.
And your action figure comes out in October?
And I guess the action figure comes out, and I didn't know about this, but at least it's not on steroids like the last Starbuck. Of course, I didn't need to be on steroids, no.
You never have one, and it comes out in
You're right.
October.
I didn't allow them to do it 25 years ago. I wouldn't sign away my likeness because I was afraid people would stick pins in it, you know. Anyway, one last question, we gotta go.
Yeah, the direction you took in your novels, was it the direction you were going to take in the TV series?
Put it this way, I had to fight every step of the way with Universal because I wasn't just doing the series as it was 25 years ago. I actually projected the story 25 years into the future. Therefore, I was covering new ground, and they didn't want me to do that. But for me, characters grow, and I wanted to create, in a sense, something that would lay the groundwork to bring back the series where the actors would be playing characters that were the same ages as them. So I aged all the characters, and then I brought the kids that now were the same ages as us, and I progressed to 25 years. And yes, the stories and the areas and the concepts, you know, the whole challenge to anything is to put characters into situations where they're forced to grow, where they don't just stay the same, they grow. They're the same basic human being, but 25 years from now, hopefully we're going to be a little wiser, grow up a little bit. Starbuck obviously isn't going to be exactly the same Starbuck, but I said, where would he be 25 years later? You know, with whatever issues he's got, where would Cassiopeia be? And you've always got to throw wrenches, and this is a big one, guys. You throw wrenches into relationships in order to cause drama. And drama forces characters to grow, and then all kinds of new revelations and epiphanies and things happen that bring characters back together again. Sometimes characters have to go away in order to come back. So that's what we've been doing in the Battlestar books. And by the way, the latest one out is called Destiny, and the next one, I believe, I'm kind of coming up with the title, is going to be called Redemption. And if any of you have been following it, you've noticed that the trek that Baltar has been on has been pretty interesting. And what we've been doing for him. And I said, wouldn't it be amazing for a man who destroyed millions of lives to live long enough to love and care about the very people he sought to destroy? That's almost worse than going to hell. And so I thought, wouldn't it be interesting for someone to live long enough to have to take responsibility for the decisions they make? And imagine the insights and wisdom and somehow knowledge somebody like that might have as a result of having taken that dark path and come back and return. So anyway, this is what we're doing right now. Go to richardhatch.com. I put this one last little message out. We need your feedback on Battlestar, Richard Hatch, and Magellan, how you think would improve the websites, because we're looking to rebuild all of them. We're looking for people that might want to help us, webmasters, designers, anybody that might want to, work on any of those websites with us. Email the sites and let us know. Send over your resume. Anybody that would really like to help us, we could very much use your help. Would appreciate it greatly. Other than that, I love all of you. Thank you so much for coming.